Welcome to Q&A, Social Security Disability Today. This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, representing you and your Social Security and disability needs. If you have a problem or questions regarding Social Security and disability, call attorney Anthony Reeves. Here's your host, attorney Anthony Reeves.
Medical impairments. The most common one I run across, back problems. Let me tell you something. Back problems are not clean at all. Well, what do you mean by that? Because let me tell you something. Invariably, throughout the life of probably most people, we're going to have some measure of a back problem. And you're going to say, well, what do you mean? Think about it. For those of you, before you became disabled, think about the number of times you bent over, stooped, squatted. And if you don't believe me, look at how many trips you've made on vacations and you've had to pick up, luggage and toss it in here, toss it in there. Laundry. How many times have you had to take laundry? You're bending over, you're folding, you're throwing this, you're throwing that. Your back does a lot of work for you. So guess what? As you get older, wear and tear, you're going to have aches and pains in parts of your body that you use on a regular basis. But we're not talking about everyday back pains. We're talking about ones that disables you. And sometimes when people say disabling as a result of their back, it's not as clear-cut as you think. You got to be able to really explain what that is. Well, guess what? It's a lot easier than most other conditions because there are usually a lot of tests that can be done with regards to your back. Nerve conductions, EMVs, nerve conduction, EMGs, CAT scans, X-rays, MRIs. All of those are tools which can be used to identify specific problems related to your back. And then when you say it's your back, is it just your back? Is it your lower back? Is it your middle back? Is your upper back? Is your cervical area right behind the back of your neck? Is it problems coming into your shoulders? Is it the middle of your back, your thoracic? Are we talking about our lower back, lumbar? Is this extending into your legs? Is it extending into your thighs? Things of that nature. You gotta be able to describe in great detail what problems you're having from your back. How are you getting treated for your back? Are you just taking Advil? Are you going in greater detail? Are we going for, lumbar, epidural steroid injunctions? Are we going for facet blocks? Have you had to have surgeries on your lower back? Have you had to go to pain management, an orthopedist, a neurologist, or rheumatologist? You gotta be able to describe all those things. And now once we have all those things, that's great. But then we have to ask, how are you limited? Be careful when you're saying, I can do nothing, but then when they're sending you forms to fill out, you indicate on your forms all these different things you can do. Hey, you see how that looks kind of weird? Be prepared to explain both, and they have to be consistent. So guess what? When you say, oh, I can't lift anything, but you go grocery shopping, guess what? Even if you get a bag of sunflower seeds, are you picking up that? If you're going to get some milk and some cereal, that's something you're picking up. And that's totally different than saying I can't lift a thing. Be smart. Oh, I can't bend over at all. But then you go to church. Guess what happens when you go to church? Invariably, at some point, you're going to get on your knees and pray. Well, that's some bending, that's some kneeling, that's some stooping. Well, if you're saying you can't do any of that, how are you doing that? Oh, nothing. You've got to be detailed and you've got to be consistent. Social Security can't read your mind. They don't know what's going on with your situation. So if you don't tell them, they're not going to know. And you got to be detailed and you got to be mindful. This is why I tell people, and coming up probably in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do a special video just on those forms. Because I tell people, don't blow through these forms. If you're saying you've got back problems and you're putting on your forms and you're just kind of, I'm just trying to get these out because I'm tired of these forms. And then guess what happens when you're like, oh, I'm in such debilitating pain that I can't even go outside and do anything. But then on the form you say, yeah, I go out and I pick up a little trash every now and then. Yeah, I go to the grocery store once a week. Yeah, I go to church with my family on Sunday. Wait a minute. You're testifying that you can do nothing. On your forms, you're doing some things. Which is right? Credibility blown. Be careful. The back issues is a common issue that we have. but you need to be able to describe in detail and have supportive information to support the severity of your condition and the severity of the problem you have.